And so this workshop will reside on the web page. So feel free to share to anybody that may be interested in this type of intention setting, and so this workshop will be available. We created a beautiful journal to follow along.
Well, Monica said we, but really she created this beautiful journal to follow along with.
And I gave you guys a PDF format. It's being published on Amazon. They take about a couple of days to approve it. So if you want to buy the printed copy, it'll be available there, and I'll have the link, everything on the website where you entered today. And this is an annual tradition for us. We've done it in several different formats. When we had our studio, we'd have a meditation and a nidra, and people come right and set fire to the intention, and so it was very dramatic. And so this year's a new format for us, and so we're also excited to explore what it feels like to be kind of virtual, but also available in a community. And that's one of our main goals, is to build community, to have this group that you're meeting each other right here, right now. And we've made some connections already, and that's the whole purpose of being here. So
connections, that's what makes life better. And everything is better together.
We believe, and part of our psychedelic approach to mindfulness and yoga is that there are so many messages we miss from each other, sometimes because we're kind of closed off to the information. But when we tap into that, I guess, other level of subconscious, we draw information for each other and to each other. And so that community, as we bring it along, I believe there's no coincidences here happening. Why each of you are here and you register for this workshop, there's got to be a purpose and message for all of us to bring forward. And so with that in mind, let's make a little bit of introductions. I think everybody knows us, Monica and Kendall.
I'm Monica.
And I'm Kendall. We are. This is a new kind of addition for us. We are starting our 200-hour psychedelic yoga training at the end of January. Whoop! We're so excited. We have Laura and Tay joining the program, and we're also we lead retreats and psychedelic guides as well. And the retreat we are preparing for August is in
Portugal.
In Portugal. So it'll be amazing. And we have an open spot for a retreat that's coming up this starting this Saturday. And I know it's short notice. We had a cancellation, but we're gonna put it out there for someone if you know someone that may be interested. And the price is,
I think it's $550
for the whole week, including medicine and food, lodging, everything included.
You just have to get your plane ticket.
You just have to get your plane ticket.
If that's possible.
$550. Going once, going twice. Taken. If you're interested, just send us a message or text me, and we'll get you more information. But we're here for intentions, and I know all of us at some point through either yoga teacher training or just by the fact that it's a new year, it creates this new page of being able to reflect on what we want to create and going forward. Like Miriam said earlier, like what you wear that day, what you eat that day, it's kind of like the fate for the rest of the year. But that sounds also very like we have no say in the situation. And so I want to retake the power to actually create what we want and manifest what we want.
And we would always set this day, usually a week or two into January, to get away from all the superstition and all the stuff that surrounds like the New Year's resolutions and all that. So we can kind of let all the smoke and mirrors lie down and really get granular with, okay, what do we really want to create, and where do we want to create from?
And so if you have your journal available, we're just gonna follow along what the prompts that we have there and break down the journal in different parts.
Did everybody get their journal? Does anybody need help with that? Thumbs up. Okay.
All right. So this is a 369 manifestation tool, and the repetition of what we're about to create gives a lot of power to the intention, because we're reminding ourselves morning, afternoon, and evening for 33 days of what we're creating. And this journal is already organized and put down forward for you so that you can see what we're doing. We're working with 3 intentions in this particular journal because it feels like, although I wrote down like 100, I feel like if I try to do all of those 100 intentions, is very challenging. It gets very disorganized very quickly, and so we want to kind of narrow it down to what 3 intentions that are workable, and maybe those intentions cannot relate to each other. And so there's a tool as we go through the journal and how to refine it. Go ahead.
And as you're starting to come up with your intentions and what you want to create, keep in mind, if you really want something that's going to transform you, it has to be a big intention, right? Otherwise, it's just a transactional intention where you're finding a better way to do something. So maybe out of one of them, think of something that is so big
that scares you.
That scares you a little bit, and that will, by getting to that intention, it's going to transform you along the way.
And what he said about it being scary, when we dream so big, and the dream itself is what begins to shape us in real time. Because in order for us to create that big thing that is so scary, we have to model our behavior to kind of align with that big intention. But I'm getting ahead, so I'm just gonna table that for the moment, and let's go back to the journal. So sounds easy. Choose your manifestation, write it down, and journal about it daily. Take inspired action, and then track and review your progress. And those kind of action items, as in that order, organize what we are putting forward and how we're moving forward. And so I'm on kind of like page maybe 4 or 5 of the journal. Step 1. Everyone follow along? All right. So decide on your manifestation and phrase it right. Neurolinguistics, this tool that kind of attaches the words that we choose that align with our belief system. And sometimes we don't even know that the words we're saying and how we're phrasing it have such a big impact in how we relate to one another and also how we relate to the universe.
I mean, because we have yoga teachers in here too, as yoga teachers, and you're teaching a whole room of people, the words that you use mentally for yourself and for the other people have such an impact, and being very cautious about the language that you use. Do we have any rebels? Raise your hand if you're a little bit of a rebel. Have you ever had a yoga teacher say, "Don't do this"?
You're like, fuck not, I'm going to do it. Watch me.
Right? And the first thing you're like, okay, no, I'm going to push back against that, right? And so learning language, like, okay, avoid doing this, or explore this idea of when you're in the posture, does it feel like this, does it feel like that, instead of telling somebody not to do something. So language is very, very important for the people that we connect with in life, but also internally in our mind to ourselves and how we feel and see things. Because as you start to get into these intentions, the point is, as you're creating, how you feel on the inside, right? That you're creating from a place of gratitude, not a place of I don't have.
And we're going to expand on that, gratitude and that I don't have, further down the road. But we'll start with a recommended formula and start with a manifestation with gratitude. we talk about gratitude and it's so overused, and fuck our gratitude. Because it's so hard to feel grateful when we feel stressed, right? And we always, when we're feeling stressed, and the idea that we have to align ourselves with something, that thankful for what we have already, it's a little bit hard. And so I recommend starting this process in a moment where you're not feeling stressed already, and maybe having a little bit of time to kind of pull yourself in a place where you can begin to appreciate. And the appreciation is just allowing maybe to appreciate beauty, right? And once we're able to appreciate beauty, our heart opens. And then suddenly that appreciation of beauty leads us into feeling, oh, wow, I'm grateful for this beauty, right? And then we can permeate the feeling that we want to carry and move forward. And so if you're grateful adverse, is that something? Is that a way to say it?
Gratitude, I
Adverse.
love gratitude, and I'm so grateful for my life, but it gets so overdone and like so cliche because you hear it and it's all over the place. And I think that because we use the word gratitude so much that people even lost what the feeling of gratitude is. Like, hey, you know, write down something that you're grateful for. We write it down, we talk about it, but do we actually embody the feeling of what gratitude feels like, you know? And I think what Monica's pointing out too is taking the time to actually, when you say you're grateful for something, to feel grateful for the thing that you're saying you're grateful for.
Yes. Sometimes I sit on my mat and go, yoga, feel grateful. I'm like, no, I'm not grateful. I'm mad. I'm angry in this moment. Like, I can't even find gratefulness, but I'm going to move. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful for having moved. But it took all my 60 minutes to get to gratefulness. Like, I'm not feeling it. So maybe if this is a tool and you want to get clear with your manifestation, maybe after yoga class, or if you had a chance to meditate, that may be the time to kind of work with this after. Put this flower down. All right, so second step, add emotions. All right, from gratitude, it's easy to say, I want to create a business, right? And that's kind of like the idea that you may want to create, that I want to create. But in reality, I want to focus first on the feeling that intention, creating that business, is going to create within and inside of me, right? And so what does that even mean to have a business? What does having a business will make you feel? Is there a combination of feeling accomplished, successful, important, regarded, connected, right? Exploring all of those feelings and arrive to the feeling that your intention will create for you.
And get really focus on the why that you want something, right? Because sometimes I think we can gaslight ourselves or light ourselves on the why we want something, because either we're ashamed or it may seem like it's materialistic or, you know, whatever it is. But until we can come truth of why we really want something, we can't really embody the feeling of it because we're not owning it fully. And, you know, Monica and I, it's like usually it's easy. Everybody wants to create money, right? So they'll have this intention, okay, I want X amount of dollars. And if somebody asks me that question, it's like, why? You know, why do you want money, or why do you want this that intention in life? And I'm like, you know, what I really want isn't money. I just want a life where money has no value to me. So therefore, I want to make so much money that it doesn't have value in my life anymore, right? So it has no more controls on me, and I can come and go and create and do all the things I want to do in life. But that's the real why behind that part of the intention of creating money. It's not that I want all this money, I want to be rich. No, I want to be able to create and live the life I want, and so money has no hold on me. It has no influence or no value. And that's the true reason of why, like if we were going to create a business or whatever that we are creating. And so as you're going through your intentions, get really honest with why you want something. Maybe you just want something a beautiful house and it's the thing, and you know, it's 8,000 square feet, and that's what you want, and that's completely okay because you have a big family. Like Monica's from Mexico, we can invite, you know, her 20 cousins to come over and all be here for dinner and have a big dinner. But the point of that intention would be we want a house big enough so we can have our whole family over and all sit down and have a meal together, right? And so then that's the real truth behind the intention, not that we just want some big ass house.
Right. And also you mentioned something about we sometimes feel that the dream is so big that it may be we're ashamed of how big that dream is, and we have to create the feeling. We got to get over being ashamed of what we want, because sometimes we may write on paper, but we may believe that we're not worth it, and deep down we're like, that will never come true. And we write it and we're still like, you write it, that will never come true. But the question is, if you believe that it won't come true, ask yourself, why? Why do you believe that it won't come true? And so we have a couple of examples here. All right, never mind. Add the words into my life. And then last one, keep it short. Should we read manifestation in 15 to 17 seconds? Example. And I was thinking of him, but I meant to write they. But I totally butchered the sentence. I am so thankful for the universe aligning me aligning with me to bring a loving and supportive relationship into my life. I feel love. Notice how it's in the present moment. Their presence makes every moment more enjoyable and meaningful. I feel appreciated and deeply connected. Thank you. And so the statement resembles as if you already have received and the wish has been already been granted. So there is no room to feel that the dream and you are separated. And so that's a concept of being in the gap and in the game.
So this concept of gap in the game, we tend to, when we create goals or intentions, we'll focus more on the part that we haven't completed in front of us, right? And so we start focusing on this ideal or the gap between where we are and where we want to go. And by doing so, it's kind of like walking to chasing the horizon, right? You're trying to get to the sunset. You keep running towards it, but you never get there because it's constantly moving. And ideals are great in our life because they help us strive towards something, but we never actually hit them. They allow you to point you in a direction, but if we try to measure ourselves by them, we never get there. So we always feel like we're lacking, or failures, or we never get to that point. So instead, as we're going through the process of this, always look back from where you were to where you are in this moment, and look at everything that you've accomplished to get here, all the gains that you've had, right? You know, it's like every day, at the end of every day, I'll sit there and I'll go, what are my 3 wins for today? What are the 3 things that I kicked ass at and did well? And I'm like, well, I got up and I meditated, you know, before the kids got up and we all had the life turned into complete chaos. So I got my meditation in. I was able to get my yoga practice in, take care of myself. I was able to spend 3 hours working on the things that we wanted to create that day. But each day and each progress you start moving towards your intentions, focus on all the gains, not the things that you haven't. And the part of the science behind it is we focus on that lack, right? We're not there. This is how far we got to go. And then it creates this negative feeling or energy inside you, which then you start dumping cortisol, right? Which is not a super happy hormone to have dumped in your body. Or we can look at things that we gain, which start dropping, you know, dopamine and positive hormones in our body. And so we create this positive feeling tone as a place to charge forward in life instead of looking at the things that we haven't done or what we haven't accomplished yet, right? Because all that's going to do is devalue the current situation that you're in and everything in your life in this moment, because you're going to have a negative feeling tone because all you're seeing is what you haven't done. And then you're creating from that place.
The place of lack. And then the feeling tone is feeding that what we don't have. And by February, we're like, fuck this intention. It never came about. And then we hate ourselves for not accomplishing the intention. And that just perpetuates a feeling of, you know, just not feeling happy about what we're doing. So another example, there's two more examples on this page, and how to craft your statements, and then the progress will go down below and show you how to do it forward. All right, so again, this is a 33-day program where we are writing down our intention that we craft, and the idea is that the more you put it in your subconscious, along with the feeling tone that you are creating, the gratefulness of it, it becomes an antenna that broadcasts the information to go through the quantum field and attract that intention into your life. Example: we've been working on creating the micro communities and working on all of our papers and working on all of the intentions, that the 200-hour program, all of these things simultaneously. And out of the blue, we have a contact that shows up on an Instagram, and that led us into a podcast that we were part of. But that connection, we didn't seek that connection. It was just kind of landed and put in front of us. And as that antenna grows, kind of fine-tuned connection, that connection gets worked on every day, you'll start to see all of these coincidences happening in your life.
Because essentially we're radios. Everything in this world has electromagnetic field that connects other things, right? When you get into the science of it, the earth has its own field, every organ in our body has its own field, our mind has its own electromagnetic field, our hearts. And so the feeling tone that we're carrying in our body is kind of like the fuel for these fields or the frequencies that we're putting out and how we're connecting up to everything around us. If you ever walk into a really negatively charged room and there's like 5 people in there and you walk in and everybody's angry, do you feel that when you walk in? Has anybody ever experienced that? Right? And you're like, oh shit, I'm going to turn around and walk back out the door because I don't want to be in this space at all. Nobody said a word. You can just feel the energy in the room, right? So it's the same thing as we communicate with our bodies and our feelings just as much as we do with our mouth and the words that we say and everything else. So you may be saying the words of your intention or whatever you're creating, but how are you feeling about it, right? And are you carrying the feeling tone of what it would feel like to be accomplished, or that feeling tone of gratitude as you're connecting to the universe at that point? Because once we can align with that feeling tone and we can align with our intention and we're sending that out in the universe, it's going to help orchestrate that based off of how we feel inside. And so it can be a negative feedback loop if you're always looking at your intentions of what you don't have, and then the universe like, okay, well, they like feeling this way, so I'm just going to keep throwing situations in life, and you just feel like you're in a hamster wheel just going over and over again because you're feeling this negative feeling because you're not where you want to be, and then life puts a situation in and you fall short of it again, and it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And that's why we want to get really granular with how you feel, because in the end, you have your intention, right? You have this thing out here that the badass you wants to create, right? But what it really is, once you create this thing, it's going to make you feel a certain way, right? So focus on how it makes you feel, because in the end, that's really what you want, right? If you want to be abundant and you want to have all this money, then in the end, you just want to feel abundant, right? No matter what else is going on outside you, that's the feeling that you want to have, to move and to be free and to, whatever. And so as you're creating your intentions, like, yeah, I want this, but come back to that why again, and how would it make you feel, and get really focused on that, because it's that feeling tone that you start interacting with the world, right? In every room that you walk into, you leave a little bit of that signature. Every place that you go, and you start energizing and harmonizing the things outside of you to bring it to fruition.
And so, more to what he's saying, the difference between a transactional and a transformational intention. And so what is the difference here? If I lose weight, this would be a transactional statement. If I lose weight, people will like me, right? That's kind of my transactional statement. I want to lose weight because I want people to like me. The transactional is having energy from me to them, to them, to me, right? And so that kind of statement, it's not, it doesn't have the feeling of gratitude. It doesn't have the transformation necessary for the universe to hear the intention and then co-create with you. Transformational.
Intention for me?
Transformational, transactional.
So one of my intentions this year is to meditate every day for 365 days. Whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, not getting lost in like, okay, I'm Buddha and I'm sitting down for an hour and a half and meditating, but just finding the time to put it in every day. And so the process of, okay, how would that feel to me and how would I feel at the end of the year? And I think that my mind would be a lot more clear. I would be a lot more focused. And so instead of like writing intention that, okay, I just want to do this for 365 days to accomplish something, it's like, okay, I want to do this because it's going to transform my mind, right? It's going to transform the Kindle here now is not going to be the same one that's 365 days from now, because all the work that I put in towards creating space to meditate, the meditation, the type of meditation I'm doing, or the meditations that we're creating that day, or whatever it is, I'm not going to be the same person based off of that intention, because it will transform me by the end of the year.
So it has nothing to do with an external reference, but it's all internal reference. And so that switches the intention from being transactional to being transformational. And so I think those differences are important, because we get caught up on the external, and life always takes us back to like the default, which is comparison, which is social media, which all these influences that we have outside of us, and then making that switch, right, and going back in, and hopefully this journal can help you narrow it down for 33 days, that it gets wired in the subconscious, that your actions are matching and they're congruent with what you want to create for yourself. And that congruency only happens with perseverance and discipline. And when the discipline falls away, we become disorganized. Our mind gets disorganized, and then power struggles begin.
Yeah, the another example of this was when we built one of our studios. The idea of like being the best studio in town, and we were in a small market that was super competitive, and so we set the intention that we want to be the best studio in town, and so that's our intention. But it's like, why do you want to do that? And what happened through that intention in the first year or two is you start looking at what all the other studios are doing, right? And so what was happening with me, not as much Monica, because she'd have to smack me into place every now and then. It's like, stop doing that. But I would start looking at other studios, and then I would start changing what I'm doing based off of trying to compete with them, right? And so your intentions, is it based off trying to do something for somebody else, or is it truly based off what you want to create? Because fuck all the other shit, like, and everybody else in the world, like, create what you want to create. And in that, we started, I know that Laura and Bruno, they appreciate this, because we started putting more mainstream songs in the playlist in class, and like trying to keep up with that stuff, and like changing things. And I'm like, and after about 3 to 6 months, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm taking away the whole thing that I love about what we do, is creating space, staying neutral, creating a place for transformation for people, because I'm chasing somebody else and what they're doing instead of creating what we really want to create.
And so when we went that path of what we really want to create, we created nude yoga. We created psychedelic journeys, right? And so that went into that whole path of where we are right now. But it was like,
it was our teenage stage
before, and then that fuck what everybody thinks about what we're doing. Let go of their beliefs that we're rebels or not rebels. But the fact is that as we do it, we're paving the road for a lot of people to do the same. And
to be free.
To be free, yeah.
To create what you want to create and not have somebody judge you for it.
And so the step 4 is tracking and reviewing progress. Mention already mentioned that earlier, that celebrating every big and small victory to increase your vibration and stay in alignment with your universe. The vibration, when we start so hopeful, sometimes at the beginning of our days, and so dreadful at the end of our days. Hope just kind of starts running downhill as we walk through the entire day. And we get beat down.
It could be because Mercury's in retrograde or whatever happened that day. But that's why it's so important at the end of the day, like, not to focus on what went wrong or what you didn't accomplish, but to focus on your wins. Like, change that mindset and your feeling. And because no matter what happened, you can always pick at least 3 things in a day that you're like, okay, I kicked ass at that. And maybe it was just stopping when you were fucking pissed off and giving your wife the biggest hug and letting her know that you love her because you changed your energy in that moment.
That exactly. Or you actually made time for lunch. That's a big win on some days. Just sit down and eat your lunch. Or
to mindfully eat your lunch and not trying and shoving it down as you're going on to your next job.
Drinking tea is a win for me. So, like, all these little things that we think they're not a big deal, sometimes they are a big deal. And so as we look down at our day, what did we do that was nourishing for ourselves, and that is in return nourishing the intention that we created for ourselves, and then we can write our intention after. Tips: write down your manifestation present tense, practicing gratitude and mindfulness daily, believing that you can have what you want, that part, I am worth it.
What'd you say?
Believing that you can have what you want. You are fucking worth it. You are enough and you're worth it. Keeping positive thoughts, especially during setbacks. And sometimes the setbacks, I believe there was a way to try us, to see if we really want that thing. Right? And that setback is like, can we magnify the setback as a reaffirmation to the universe to say, fuck yes, I want you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I'm doing it.
I don't think I've heard you cuss this much in like all of 2023.
It brings more passion forward, right? If we test the passion, are we going to say, I'm sorry, it wasn't meant to be? Or are we going to say, no, I want this? And tracking progress to stay encouraged and motivated, celebrating victories no matter how small, expanding our faith in the universe power to bring us what we desire, taking time each day to manifest and visualize, connecting with a manifestation community for additional support, and remain open-minded and trust that the outcome will be perfect, and enjoying the journey and staying focused. Self-sabotaging, because we all do it. You know, that voice that tells you, you're not worth it. You cannot do this. You're dumb. Did you to think that you were going to do it? You know what that voice? We tell, fuck you. Do not focus on the how of the manifestation, all right? We try to control the how it's happening in real time.
I think you should change the name of the workshop to be Fuck You 2024.
I'm doing this. And focusing on the how, it will control the intention. Instead, let the intention unfold as it's going to unfold. Our first studio, and this is kind of like the jump for our first studio to our second studio. The first time we had gone to the Stonefield Mall where we were in Charlottesville, and there was a concrete slab.
This is how crazy intentions are.
Concrete slab. And we sat at the restaurant next to it. We were having maybe a beer, some oysters, and we were dreaming. We're like, oh, this is where our studio is going to be. We called them all. Nope, that place can be yours. There's already another studio happening.
Oh yeah, we called them all, and like not only like have they already leased the space, but they leased it to somebody that was building a hot yoga and cycling studio.
And we went somewhere else. We went to another mall. We almost secured the location with them. Down to the signature day, we backed out because they added information that we didn't agree on.
They changed the numbers.
They changed the numbers. We're like, we're not doing this. And so we were in the middle of the summer. We didn't have a space. We needed to start building out. We went to another location, and the person that did all this work, there were complications with contract, and we ended up suing this person for shoddy work. So now we were not in the space that we wanted. He did have a studio, but we had all these legal problems happening.
And we already spent $350,000 to build a studio out.
And so all this complication, we're like, but we got to the studio. What is happening here? Well, as time goes on, 18 months later, the owners of the other studio,
they're like, this isn't going to work.
They backed out of their contract they had. So now the studio that we originally went to look at, now it's available.
In the exact same place, except it was 6,500 square feet. And I think it was like a $780,000 build out with the contractor we were originally going to hire. So they paid and built this whole space out. And literally what happened, we were able to get our lease because of the contractor issues. And we literally just walked straight into this beautiful place that was built out with all the stuff that we wanted in it, right? In the place 3 years earlier where we're like, this is where we want to put our studio. However, to see all that happening, there were many points to where like Monica's like, this is impossible. I'm like, no, it's not impossible. I was like, it's not probable that we can make this happen. But if we can align this star here, this happens. I was like, we can literally just pick up and start back over here. And it was one of our biggest arguments I think we ever had. I just dropped Monty off at school in Richmond. I was out in the middle of the street trying to explain. I was like, can you just keep your mind open for a minute? And she was like, no. And finally, after massaging it, we got out of our own way of trying to control how our things were supposed to work. And by doing that, everything orchestrated, all the stars aligned, and we were able to transition into our new space.
Scary as fuck, but there it goes again. But
I'm gonna put a counter.
But definitely, like we can't project what the universe is going to do for us, and where we think that the universe is working against us, rethink it very closely because the universe is actually working in your favor. If you're doing all of these things, trust and believe that the universe is working for you. All right, letting go of fear, doubt, negative thoughts.
Getting out of your own way.
Exactly. Nourish your intuition and your inner guidance. We tend to, another thing we do is to not pay attention to the gut feelings we have because reason tells us that that's not possible. And so we gaslight ourselves to not believe what we're experiencing through our gut. And sometimes that takes practice. That takes it takes sometimes a little bit of learning curve to feel the intention or to feel rather the intuition happening. But trusting it, it's a muscle that we can flex.
And to learn to act on it. Like in some of the outreach and stuff that we're doing now, I'll be sitting there and before I go to sleep, I'll have my next day of what I want to accomplish in my head. And I always put, okay, how am I going to get there? And kind of let my subconscious, work through the night, as to problem solve it. And so you get up the next day and all of a sudden I'm driving down the road and this person or this place flashes in my head, right? And I'm like, oh, I should contact them. And I don't know why, but I should contact them, right? And so, like we want to host this yoga class at this brewery. And so an example would be this person popped up. I'm like, oh, they know this person. So I get in contact with them and everything starts working out. But at one point in time, that thought would have popped up. That person's name would have popped up. And I would have been like, no, that's not going to work. That's not how this works. I have no idea why this thought is here. But when you have an intuition or something that comes up and you don't know why, unravel the thread. Follow it. Right? Get curious about it, and it may be the thing that's leading you to where you need to go next.
Yes. All right. Powerful journal prompts to help you manifest. And numerology, we're using 33 prompts because we're doing this every day. We're doing 33 days of manifestation, and every one of these prompts is one prompt a day. Don't try to do all prompts daily because that's sounds like a whole lot of things to be doing. Pick one prompt, and you can start from the top down. And the prompt is going to help you realign and remember why you even intended this particular statement for yourself.
I have a better example of that I want to bring up. So when we were forming our business and refining it and stuff, we reached out to coaches and things to get better at what we do, especially the business side. We're really good at the yoga part, but the business part took a little bit more learning. And so at one point in time, I was looking for coaches, and I found this one that looked really amazing. I've been listening to her podcast. Her name was Lisa Keeker. And so in all that, we got in some conversation to find out that she actually lived in Charlottesville, right? And so I'd reached out and had a conversation with her. Because I had a conversation with her, she knew of this guy who owns a restaurant on UVA's campus called Roots, and also was building out another juice place which had a yoga studio in it. So in all these conversations, we ended up with a second studio that was already built out at that point. And so we had 2 studios in Charlottesville, but it was all because I followed this conversation. I'm not sure I really want to talk to this person or that it's going to be good for us, but because we were open and I followed that intuition, she had the conversation with Joseph Linson, who was building the place out, and then we all ended up working together and creating another studio out of it. And so, but it was all because I trusted that intuition. I started unraveling that thread. I don't know why this is here, but let's go find out why.
Coming back to the prompts, if you're there already, just start from the top down and write one along with your intention as you start to write them down daily, and this will help you realign yourselves. And so there's 33 prompts. If you scroll down past the 33 prompts, and they kind of have a similar, they sound similar at a certain point. They just rewarded differently. But again, what we're trying to draw at is the feeling tone, so you remember what you want to create. And if we go down to about page 27, then we go to 33 powerful affirmations to help you manifest. And so these affirmations can also remind you of your manifestation power and help you start manifest with more confidence and ease. And so there's 33 statements to use. I trust that the universe will provide all that I need when it is in perfect timing for me. And you can go through the list. Sometimes I say it, and then I'll write down my intention congruently with the statement. And then if you keep going down to page about 33, this is where the first manifestation, you can enter it here. You have the reminder of how to form the statement. And then for the next 33 days, use the following pages too. 1, write your manifestation 3 times in the morning, 6 times at midday, and then 9 times before bedtime. Why 9 times before bedtime? Is because we want to put it in the subconscious. We want to wire it so we go to sleep. The intention and the feeling continue to work for us. You may be dreaming a whole lot more during this time because you're doing so much intention for 33 days. Journal in the morning or before going to bed. You see one of the 33 manifestation prompts, which were up and the statements. And practice your favorite manifestation affirmation that will support your efforts to give you the confidence and trust you need to manifest with ease. Reflect on aligned action steps you want to take, and then track progress and note down any small or big wins. So there are literally 33 pages, guys, for that first manifestation. If you scroll down to about page 67, 66, you'll see your second manifestation prompt where you can enter the statement, and you'll have 33 pages for you to write your intention 3 times in the morning, 6 on lunch, and then 9 at night. And then finally, the third intention is on page, where is it? It's on page 100. And that's the last manifestation. You don't have to do all 3. You may just want to do one, practice it. Do it 33 days, and then pick another one after 33 days, and then do the next one 33 days after. That way, you don't feel like, oh my God, this is 3 intentions. It'd be 6, 12. Oh, that's a lot. It's a lot of writing. Yeah. I recommend picking one at a time. Questions so far. How are you guys feeling?
Don't forget you're muted.
Did we just throw a lot at you at once?
Yeah, and if it is something that's really big that you're trying to create, maybe just focusing on, okay, 2 hours of this day, or if I have, 7 days in a week, I'm gonna pick, each day I'm gonna spend at least 1 hour working towards this thing that I'm trying to create, or finding however you want to group that. And then you can start reverse engineering, like, okay, how do we get there? What are the next steps? And I think what really helps me is to also look at, if I am this person that created this thing in the future, right? This intention, what are the things that would have changed in my life by realizing that intention? What are the things I won't be doing anymore? What are the things I will be feeling? This future self that has accomplished this thing, this intention that I have, will they be traveling more? Will they be at home more? How will they feel? How will they walk? How will they breathe? It's like every aspect of what that person is, how did they transform themselves, and what are all the things they had to set down and walk away from so they could create space for this thing they are trying to create.
And when we release energy of the things that are not congruent and aligned with that intention that we're trying to create, that energy that we release, we can actually use that energy to actually funnel it into the thing that we want. We spent that shit ton of time driving to Mexico last year. And part of our thing is like, we are not driving, we're flying.
If you guys, for the ones who don't know, we're a combined family, and we had our studios in Charlottesville, and then our youngest daughter's dad moved to Charlotte, and so we have been commuting back and forth in 2 different states for 4 years, and this is the first year we've actually been in the same state in the last 4 years, which has been freaking amazing. But then there's been a lot of things where we've had to drive to Mexico and all these other places at the last minute because our dad had health issues and stuff, and so we're like, one of our intentions this year is not, I see my future self not driving as much, because we commuted in the beginning just from Richmond to Charlottesville for our kids to go to school every day.
Yeah.
And then it was Charlottesville to Charlotte. I'm not driving this year.
Yeah, definitely putting out in the universe that the intention, I am flying instead of driving. And so my future self flies, they don't drive. My future self, you can fill in the blank. My future self does this. My old person doesn't. I no longer does that. My future self no longer does that.
And our future self, as of Thursday, is going to be flying to Mexico.
Yes, we are manifesting the first flight of the year. And so kind of think about the things you don't want that future self does not or will not be doing when that manifestation occurs, and just pay attention when you find yourself
And
doing
how would it feel not to have to do the shit that you don't want to do? Like, what does that person feel like, right? It's so funny too, because we get to the end of our days, and if I don't pay attention to what is distracting my mind, you lose so much time in a day. Because sometimes you just want your mind in the mouth, so you'll come home and you're in bed at the end of the day, and all of a sudden you're scrolling through Instagram, just looking at shit, and you're not really doing anything. And like, or you do it first thing when you get up in the morning, you start going through stuff, and it sucks your attention right out. It's like, notice things in your life that you could set down to create more space, and you wouldn't be doing because you're creating this amazing thing that you want to create.
I agree. Yay.
There wasn't any F words in that.
There was no F words. Yes, of course.
I love that too. When I first started down this path, there was, everybody has a unique talent, right? And I'm like, well, somebody else has the same talent. They're probably better at it than me in my talent because we both have the same talent. But what I realized in that, it would be refined to, this unique talent. But what it really is we are the only person that can express that talent, that unique talent, in that way that you do it, right? Nobody else in the world can express your unique talent the way you express it, and that's what makes it so beautiful and so special.
Thank you. Yes, that's amazing, guys.
And then you can't compare it to anybody because you're the only one that has that superpower.
Superpowers unite. I love that so much. Anybody else would like to share before we close up?
You know what you forgot to do?
What?
Start formally.
I did. I forgot. I remember halfway through it, I'm like, oh, I was too excited to start talking. But we can close formally.
Yeah.
All right.
One, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking this time out of your day and spending it with us. And we truly believe like the connections that we made in life and with the people are what makes this life so special. And the more we can connect and see how we're alike versus how we're separate and support each other in our journeys. Because everything is better together, except for pooping. Pooping's better alone, but everything else is better together.
If you want the journal printed, It'll be available again on Amazon. I'm gonna put the link on it, and you can request a print copy, or you can just print your own through the PDF I sent you. And I guess let's close formally.
Toto, you want to say goodbye? Huh?
Let's sit up tall and just take a moment to align yourself in your body. And close your eyes, feeling connected to each of the people in front of your monitor. And noticing how the air moves in and out of your body. How it gives life to every cell, every function within it. And we align it with the highest vibration, which is love. With the firm belief that the love that brought us to this earth will never let us down. We can bring our palms in front of the heart, or one on the belly, one on the heart. And you can quietly repeat to yourself, I trust myself. I love myself. I trust myself. I love myself. And may our words, our thoughts, and our actions contribute to the well-being of all. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all. I hope you loved this so much. We can't wait to hear your feedback. We can't wait to hear how your manifestations unfold. Would you guys be interested in doing like a check-in in 33 days? Yeah? All right, let's do it. Let's do a check-in and see how the stuff's unfolding. And I'm interested to hear how it feels and this process feels for you.
Are you going to make one of your intentions meditating? Because that might help with the F-bombs.
Yeah, but all righty, guys. Have a beautiful night. Bye. Bye. Bye.